What's up, everyone? It's Adrian from Adrian's Awesome Accumulation. Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at this Arcanadea Meltina from Kotobukiya. And before we do that, let's take a look at the box art. As you can see, there's the figure right there, but let's take a look at the box art real fast. So I'm going to get this over here. Let's see if I can move her back. She's mine's kind of fragile, and I'll explain why in a minute, but yeah, let's just move her back for right now. Let's take a look at this box art. Move this back. Alright, so here we can see the box art, and as you can see we have an illustration of her right there, which looks really nice. And we have Meltina right here in gold lettering, and on the bottom it says illustrated by Zeton. And we have this cool like gold, like frame right here. That's pretty awesome. On the side right here, we can see the 4 different face plates she comes with right there. Like a smiling winky face right there, the kind of normal neutral face. And then we have, like side eye, kind of like laughing face right there, and then a surprised face. And then we have her armored mode right there, which, I'm probably not going to show off right here because I didn't build all the extra bits. I kind of just liked her normal mode, so I built her just like in a normal mode. Alright, on the top here we have a different illustration right here of the character. Again, right there, have her name and all that stuff. On this side, we have, her armored mode, and then we have her normal mode, which is the way I left her right there. You can see she has a bat accessory. Like, this is probably the only accessory I'm not going to show you guys because I didn't build that. But yeah, so there you have her right there in her normal mode and armored mode. And then we have a product shot right here, which is pretty cool. All right, so that is the box art. Basically, there's another illustration right there. And on the top, yeah, basically the same thing. All right, so let's get the box out of the way. And take a look at the figure right here. Or not the figure, model kit, actually. All right, let's bring her closer. Up right here, and actually let me take her off with the snake body, because as you're gonna see right here, this peg, I'll explain why that's blue right now, but let's just take a look at her. All right, so I did like custom paint her, so she's not gonna look the way like the regular model kit, because she had like basically a pink snake body. I painted it green. But yeah, so let's just go over like what I painted and stuff. All right, so I did paint her hair. Her hair was like kind of like this magenta, kind of like red color. And I just painted it to look more red, So, and I like the way it came out. It came out really good. I did try some like shading right here. If maybe you're not going to be able to see, but there's some blacks and stuff. I think I did all right. And, these pieces I kind of like wanted it to be like a glossy gold. So I did that, but like, it came out with some of the cracks right there, but from far away, you're not going to be able to see it. And I think it came out pretty good. I wanted to like make like all her gold like glossy, but it just wasn't coming out great. So like this is the only one I painted with like a gloss, like top coat. The rest is going to be matte. But yeah. And then her necklace right here, or her headband right here, I painted gold. And this part right here, I painted green, which was normally red. So there's that. The only thing that's off about like painting the figure like all green, like her snake bits, is going to be her faceplate right there, which you can see she has still the pink scales right there on her face. Yeah, so just that's the only thing that's going to be left over pink. But yeah, or like that, yeah, like pinkish rose color and stuff. But yeah, her neck, like jewelry here, I did paint gold as well, and I paint that little gem right there green. The snake, I just painted the little gold parts right there. Other than that, I just top coated it with a matte coat. So I left the snake green right there. And then this part right here, painted green. Came out nice. The arms were purple. Just the little bands right here on her, like, bracelets right here are just painted gold. Painted this gold, and I painted this little parts right here green, like where the gemstones are and stuff. Her hands. This purple part right here was just the color of her skin tone. So I did paint that purple, which, I wish it would have been purple already because that was a lot of extra steps. And then her, like, I don't know if you guys can see that well, but right here, like her ring right there, I was also painted skin color. So I put a little bit of gold on that, so you guys can see right there. So there's that. Right here, I painted this red, I painted that gold, and I just kind of like outlined right here, her panel lined, her like skill bits right here on her arm. So there's that. And then for these like little like strands right here, this was just all like, you know, like this translucent kind of like green color, or like semi-translucent. So I just painted the edges gold and stuff right there, and then just the tips right here where it like connects to like her belt, I painted that gold. And then her like waist, you know, like armor right here, I just painted all gold. And this was already originally green, that was red. I just painted these little like fangs right here that cover like the green heart part right here. I painted that red. And then I painted this part green because that was just like this kind of like mold, like bronzish gold color. So I painted that. I painted this part right here, like the little like ornaments on her belt, purple and red right there, all around. And this right here was just originally all gold as well, the belt piece. So I painted just that part red, and then the inner part green. And then this was that white plastic, so I left that as is because I like the way that looked. But then the ornamentation down here, I painted gold, and then the purple, and then with the reds. And I painted these little parts purple. As you can see, some broke off because, you know, I had problems with building her. But yeah, so some parts broke off, and yeah, I painted these parts purple, and I painted this part red, and there was supposed to be another part up here, but that broke off. And basically, yeah. All right, so the tail, I painted, you know, like this cool green color. And then again, it's chipped because when you're like moving her and stuff like that, I thought it was like dry already, but apparently, you know, like yeah. But so you're not gonna be able to like mostly see that when I'm like posing it and stuff. But yeah, I painted it green, and then I painted this kind of like a nice like that like tree like forest kind of like color yellow and stuff like that. And I think it was a pretty good color for the bottom choice, you know, like the belly of the snake. So yeah. All right, let me show you the rest of the snake body. So yeah, here it is. Yeah, so I painted mostly like this color green. I was gonna shade it, but I didn't get around to it. But yeah, and then the bottom right here is just the same color, and again, it's gonna be a little bit chipped because of all like the movement and stuff like that. And yeah, all right, so let's get into articulation because it is kind of loose, at least on mine. All right, so let's take the snake out of the way, and let's focus on the body right here. So the hands are pretty good, right? You're gonna get a T-pose out of them, you know, higher, like a T-pose, like a Y pose right there. So that's great. You're gonna get movement right here at the forearm. All right, you're gonna get rotation there. You're gonna get a double bend at the elbow, and then her hands are on a ball joint, so you can move that any which way you want. And her head, so like her hair piece up here is movable. You know, you're gonna be able to bring it back, bring it down right there. And then these little pieces right here are kind of like movable, not that much, but you can get some little like movement out of them right there. So if you want to get some certain stuff out of the way. But yeah, she's gonna be able to look up that high. She is connected like you know, on her neck right there, and then up here on her head as well. All right, so you can just push that down. But yeah, she's gonna be able to look up that high, look down that low. All right, she can tilt her head, and she's gonna be able to move all, well, not all the way around because of her hair, but yeah. All right, so this little snake piece is independent right there. All right, so there's her head movement, and then let's pick up her arms again, move her hair back. All right, so right here for like the chest piece, she's gonna be able to bend back that far forward. All right, she's gonna be able to tilt right here, right, and then she's gonna be able to rotate all the way around right there. So the good movement at the chest piece right there, and then right here at the waist, she's gonna be able to bend back that far forward, and then she can tilt. All right, and then she can rotate just slightly, not all the way, but pretty good, you know, like pretty good range of movement right here at like her upper body and stuff like that. All right, and then these little belt pieces are going to be able to articulate just like kind of like up and down right here. All right, and then you can rotate these little front pieces right here, so you can move these around any way you want right here. And then these like skirt pieces are going to be able to rotate up and down, right? Move up and down right there. Articulate like so. And then you got this little back piece right here, which you can articulate any way, which way you want. And so, okay, so the snake body is basically put into like these kind of like joints right here. And these little like pink pieces right here, they're kind of like prone to breaking, at least on mine, you know. And yeah, so they're gonna move like that, and then these are just gonna move like the tail. The tail's connected right here, right? And they're just gonna like move. But yeah, these pink pieces on mine just broke. And I'll show you the original pieces. So like right here, as you can see, there's a broken part right here. Anyways, yeah, right here. So like they're kind of like prone to breaking. You put them in, and then you put the ball joint in, right? And then they just like snap a little bit. It's gonna look like that at first. And at first it was fine, but when I went back, you know, later to like add more to it, I found that they were all broke and it was like super loose. So yeah, these pink pieces right here are just like prone to breaking, at least for mine. Because I try to look for other reviews, and then this piece right here, which is basically like this piece right here, just like broke when it was super tight, and it just broke. So I don't know if it was just mine. I looked at other reviews to see if, you know, if anybody else had some problems. Most of the other reviews had, you know, didn't even mention it. They said the tail like articulated great and stuff like that. For mine, I didn't have that kind of problem. I was able to find like these replacement ones, like, you know, I did 3D print them, and they said they were stronger, but they're still kind of loose, but it's better than what I had. So there's that. But yeah, so at least the tail for mine, or the snake body, you know, it's just very, very loose. As you can see right there, it's just kind of like breaking all over the place and stuff. I'm probably gonna have to like put some like, you know, like add some glue on these things to like tighten up the joints and stuff. But you know, it does hold on better than when it did. But yeah, so if I can get this snake body, you know, to like move. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so this snake body can, you know, when it's articulated, when it moves well, when mine wants to move well, you can get it, you know, to like curl up, right? To have her like kind of like rounded, and she can, you know, like you will be able to like kind of like zigzag it if you want, you know, something like looking like this kind of thing. And then you are gonna be like with help with this like a stand, you can move it like as she's going up, or you know, like the tail or the body is like moving up and stuff like that. So you can articulate it, you know, any way you want if it's not like loose like mine. So again, you know, I don't know if it was just mine had like this prone to breaking defect or something like that, because the other reviews didn't mention it, so I don't know. But yeah, there's that on mine. So for mine, the body on the articulation of the body is not the best. It just breaks all the time. I had to be very patient when I'm posing this thing. But yeah, so there's that. So stick with me and I'll show you the accessories she comes with. All right, you guys, so here are the accessories. So this is one of her weapons that she comes with, and it's pretty cool. It's like a cool like double-bladed spear and stuff. And I did paint this as well. I painted it all gold. Well, it was kind of like molded in like this bronzish gold, so I just made it look a little bit more gold. But I did add the red right here to these parts, which I think came out nice. I did paint the handles purple. I'm gonna paint these little wing bits right here, or like look like wings. I painted that green. I painted that little red right there, so like just like kind of the details right here and stuff. Yeah, and then this was like already, let's say, translucent like red. So it does articulate right here. All right, and then you can take these off, and then she could just hold them as knives as well. So yeah, so it does articulate like so, and then you could move them around if you want. So like you have her like a blade facing this side and a blade facing up, right? So there's that weapon. So that's pretty nice. And then we got a couple of hands right here. So we got two grabbing hands right here. As you can see, I painted purple right there, because like I said, it was just the color of her skin. I did paint the gold right there. And right here on the nails, I want to see if this pink came out great, but it was a little too bright, so I didn't like it. But then I saw you know, one where I had this pose like in a photo, and I kind of like the way it looked in the photo, so I might just go in and just paint like the rest of her nails like pink. But yeah, all right, so 2 grabbing hands right there. We got 2 slightly open palm hands right there, so you can see. And then we got 2 peace sign hands right there. And then we got the classic fists right here to throw a punch. All right. And then we got 2 grabbing slash pointing hands right here. And then her face plates, we got this, you know, like winking one right there, like I said earlier, with a smile, like a mischievous smile right there. And then the pink, you know, scales right there for, you know, what was originally her body color right there. And we got just like the neutral one right there. And then this smiling one, as you can see, kind of looking off to the side. The face paints came out really great. I really do like them. And then we got this one right here, which is the surprise face. So there's 4 in total. And then we got this piece right here, which is like the snake staff. And the mouth is articulated, so it can open up right there. And I did paint it gold, and I paint the little fangs right here red. And I did paint this kind of like gold, but this gold I didn't like primer it before, so it just doesn't look as good, because I was kind of rushing it right here, to be honest. But yeah, I should have just took my time. But overall, it came out kind of good. And then the back part right here, painted like some like little detail gold right there, just so it wasn't all green. The handle I painted purple, right? And then we got this piece right here, which just connects right here, so you could have it more like a, you know, longer staff. And I did paint these like gold bits right here on, just so it wasn't all green, like I said, like that. And then you could take this one off and add this one right here. And the cool thing about this one, it turns into like a whip, and this whip is kind of articulated right here, kind of, so you can get that looking any way you want, or, you know, having it go whichever way you need it to for like the photo you're gonna take. But yeah, so that is all her accessory. Well, not all her accessories, like I said. She does come with this bat that I didn't build, and then some like extra like shoulder armor things and stuff like that. So she does come with a little bit more that I didn't build. All right, so that is pretty much it for the accessories. Now onto the posing. Pose 1, surprised. Pose 2, graceful. Pose 3, mocking. Pose 5, serpent princess. Pose 5, high stature. All right, you guys, there is Meltina from Kotobukiya's Arcanadea series done and complete. Um, I really like this model kit a lot. It looks cool, very cool design. I just wish, my parts didn't break. Again, I don't know. Apparently, the guy that I got the file to 3D print the extra parts, his said they were prone to breaking, so he's the only one I found like that. But, other reviews, they didn't mention it, or I couldn't find any other ones. So I don't know, you guys. If you want to just be aware of that little problem, maybe look deeper into it. But other than that, I gotta say it looks great. Very cool design. When if it had stronger joints, she would move perfectly. And yeah, I do like this model kit. So the choice is up to you if you want to get it or not. But other than that, I really like this. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. God bless and bye.